Good afternoon, everyone. I will call to order the November 20th, 2025 Boise Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Mazu,
Here.
Raber, here. Johnson,
Here.
Casarino,
Here.
Cherie,
Here.
Urban, and Stidham,
Here.
and Walker. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Next up, we have some introductions to be made by Director Sarah Arkle.
Thank you. Commission members, I'm so pleased to be here. I think the first person I should introduce is myself. Although many of you know me since I have worked for the department for 10 years, I'm happy to share that I am now the director. And thank you. Yeah. This will be my first Boise Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, presiding as the director. So it's a little bit of a special time for me. I'm happy to be here and happy to share some of the really exciting work that our team is doing on behalf of the community. I also wanted to introduce our new Deputy Chief of Staff, Zach Clark. He is in the audience here today. Zach joins us actually from the federal government. He used to work for USAID and is a born and raised Boisean. So it's nice to have him back serving his hometown. And we're very excited to work with you, Zach.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay, now we're on to new business. We have minutes from the October 16th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the October 16th meeting minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Or any discussion? Okay, the motion carries. Next up, we have the 2025 Clean Water and Open Space Levy update with Director Sarah Arkle.
Sure, thanks. Commissioners, I am so excited and pleased to announce, and I know you're all very well aware, that our Clean Water and Open Space Levy passed earlier this month with almost 81% support by the community. And thank you for joining us. Councilmember Willits has joined us. She's a liaison here for our Parks and Rec Commission and serves on the City Council. Yeah, so 81%, that is a wonderful example of a shared common purpose. I wanted to take a minute to talk through the legacy that the city has built around protecting open space and preserving clean water resources. This is the third levy in 25 years to raise funds that will allow us to be proactive in protecting open space, whether that's critical open space in the foothills or critical open space, frankly, down here around the river or in areas of the city that don't currently have access to parks. It also has raised money for improvement projects that enhance clean water in the Boise River or create pollinator gardens in our developed parks, enhancing wildlife habitat through pollinator gardens, or have allowed us to work with Boise State University to better understand how carbon is sequestered in our foothills, or how we can eradicate goat heads through our city. These funds are unique in that they are flexible and, you could say, opportunistic in a way that our annual budgeting cycle doesn't allow us to be. We have been able to protect tens of thousands of acres in the foothills. We've been able to protect critical open space within our already built out area of the city of Boise to ensure that future parks are available for every family to walk within 10 minutes. This 2025 Clean Water and Open Space Levy will raise $11 million over the course of 2 years. It's a temporary property tax increase that will be collected, I believe, in 26 and 27. And that will provide a fund for us to utilize in partnership with the community to acquire open space, acquire critical habitat do some fire mitigation in our foothills to ensure that our communities are protected from future wildfire threat. Continue to support clean water projects. 30% of our drinking water comes from the Boise River, and the rest of it comes from groundwater right underneath our feet. So anything we're doing in the Boise watershed, whether it's a construction project or a restoration project, can help to enhance those critical water resources. Is there anything I'm missing? Oh, yeah, pathways. Thank you, Lisa. And the fourth item that this fund will allow us to do is be proactive in meeting the goals of the pathways plan that our council passed in 2022. There's over 100 miles of pathways that this community wants to see developed to connect not only folks to parks, but connecting people to activity centers like libraries or shopping centers. We have about 66 miles, believe it or not, of pathway within Boise that the Department of Parks and Rec manages. About half of that is our greenbelt. The other half is within our parks or within our neighborhoods, providing connections to the greenbelt or providing connections to parks along canals or along critical arterials. So we're very, very excited about the support the community provided for this levy. I've had a number of people reach out in just, friends and family who are excited to see the Boise continue this legacy. And I just continue to be grateful for the shared common purpose and the value that our community places on these critical assets. It is part of our identity. And I think I have said this before, I'll say it again, but Parks and Rec is the heartbeat of this community. And I think that vote really underscored how valuable and important it is.
Thank you, Director Arkell. I'm floored that we got 81%. That's just amazing. And it's just really wonderful. And, as a personal user, just this past week, I was in military, Camel's Back, up 5 Mile Creek, and Table Rock when it wasn't raining, when it wasn't muddy. But I just love all the connectivity there is. And I'm just excited to see what the new levy is going to bring us. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Director Arkell? Well, thank you. Next up, we have the fall 2025 Ridge to Rivers Trail User Survey results.
There it is. Hello, everyone. My name's Lisa Duplessis. I am the Superintendent of Open Space. And one of the things that I am lucky enough to manage is our trail system, our Ridge to Rivers trail system. Everybody's excited about it. I like it. I get to also manage our open space reserves and also our environmental education program. I think I know most of you, but I think what we'll do today is not only go over the fall survey results, but also just kind of talk about Ridge to Rivers in general. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I always steal from Director Arkell that she says she has the best job in the city, but I also think I do too. So I'm very lucky to be able to talk to you about this super program. Ridge to Rivers, just a little bit of information. So we manage 220 miles of trails in the Boise foothills. Those are on not only property that we own, but also private land, as well as other government agency lands. So we work with Ada County, the BLM, Forest Service, Idaho Fish and Game, and then Forest Service. And then we act as the lead agency. So we all meet quarterly and talk through just different issues and the way that we want the whole system to be managed. But the city as a whole sits as the lead agency. All of the employees for Ridge to Rivers are city employees. So every year we do every year, the last 5 years, we've done a survey in the fall. We have so many users, and I think we really recognized after COVID and after 2020, there was a huge influx of users in the foothills. And so how could we kind of hear their voices, get some feedback, and are there things we could do differently or change? So we started this 5 years ago. As you can see from the numbers, we got almost 2,700 results and people taking the survey. And we leave this open for 3 weeks every fall. And we do it the same time each year just to kind of catch the same amount of people. So I'm going to go through just some demographics that are basics, and we can ask questions towards the end, or feel free to stop me as we go through. It's very, very easy either way. So we asked just some basic questions, age range of people that are using our trails. And then how long have you lived in the Treasure Valley? This one's always really interesting to me. And I think just is good for us to remember that 25% of the people that took this survey have been in the Valley less than 10 years. So really trying to remember our education out on the trails, our Happy Trails Pledge, why we stay off muddy trails, how we find information. So we're constantly talking to people and trying to get information out there. And so just remembering that not everybody has been here forever and knows what the etiquette is on the trails. This is just how often do you use our trail system? And I think it's really interesting to point out that 85% of people use our trail system at least once a week. So people are out there, and no surprise, the people that are taking the survey are the ones that are really invested in, just like Chair Mezu, using all different reserves out there each week. So people are out there a lot of different times. The way that people enjoy using the foothills, so their primary use. This year, mountain biking looks higher this year in the numbers, but if you kind of combine hiking and trail running together, those are still, pedestrians are our highest usage in the trail system. And then secondary use, you can see there as well. Do you hike or run with a dog? This is, again, very similar to last year. Really no change at all into the number of dogs we see out on the trails. And then how often do you experience conflict with other users? I think it's good to note that sometimes, rarely, and never are actually up 2% from last year. So I think we're seeing less conflict a little bit is what I would hope this tells us. I think sometimes we hear about the conflict more often, but it is just of note that that's actually 2% higher of people that rarely see conflict out on the trails. And I think with the increase in usage, that's really important to note too. Every year we have more and more people out there, so the chance for conflict between user groups is higher. And then we ask about e-bikes. These, again, are very similar to what we had last year. I will say that do you plan on using an e-bike, or do you currently, is actually 2% higher than it was last year. And then when you look at the support of e-bikes on the trails, there is 3% higher support for e-bikes on the trails. And I will say this is something that as a partnership, we have talked and spent a lot of time discussing. It's very difficult, as I'm sure you can imagine, having different governmental agencies that define motorized vehicles differently. And so this is something that we are tackling as a partnership here within the next year. We want to really have some dedicated conversations on how we deal with this in the foothills. And then, when you encounter muddy trails, are you likely to turn back? And most people are. And I think that the good thing is here too, you will see as we go into the fall and into the spring, we really talk about muddy trails a lot in all of our communications. And at least 98% of the people, it's clear and they understand why they should stay off the trails. So the message is getting through, and most people are staying off the trails when they're muddy. I will note here too that we did ask a question last year about, do you support trail closures to help reduce the use of muddy trails on certain really vulnerable areas? And that overwhelmingly came back in support of, and we did close, I think, 10 trail sections last year, and it's been really supported, and the rules have been followed. So we are going to continue with that this year. This is just how you get your information. So on the Ridge to Rivers website, how do you get that information? Why do you go to the website? And most people obviously go for the trail conditions. They want to know, can I go out there? How do I go out there? Where do I go? And this is where they come to the website for. And this is just how often people use our interactive map. So I don't know if you've been on our website, but we do have an interactive map that lets you know where all the trails are, how long the trail is, if it's muddy, if it's dry, So it's nice to know that people actually use that. That's in partnership with Ada County, and we work on updating that as often as we can. As we get into Muddy Trail season now, it will be updated a lot more often. Again, here's just kind of a rank of how people use the interactive map. And then just how do you currently get any information about Ridge to Rivers? So our website overwhelmingly is the #1 place that people go. We were a little bit surprised that trailhead signage took a leap this year. So people are reading the signage, which is nice. And then our Facebook page, we try to post quite a bit if trails are closed or just the different conditions that are out there. One thing that we did ask this year was, what other apps do you use for trail information? And I think this was more for us to understand what features people like, how they use different technology. Ada County's constantly looking at how we kind of update that interactive map. So making sure that we are using the same type of features that people enjoy on other apps to integrate that into what we're doing on our website and map as well. And then just the survey results. Most people are very satisfied with the work that we're doing, and it's nice to just read. There is a narrative place where everyone can write in kind of their thoughts, comments, concerns, and it is always nice to share with the team, especially the trail team that's on the ground every single day, all of these positive comments that people share. This is just a little bit of feedback that we kind of put in kind of the themes and the takeaways from this survey. So kind of like I said at the beginning, nothing was really glaring or new in this survey. I think the same themes always get pulled out. So e-bikes, dog, trail user etiquette. So just these are some things that we pulled out and something that we always try to do and then see how we can move forward and make changes in accordance to what people are sharing with us in this survey. One of the things that we did here and we've been working on is just updating our Ridge to Rivers website. So this new website is fully accessible and also gives people, you know, I mentioned the apps and how people interact with the website. This new website has a way to filter all the different trails. So if you want to go out and go on a family-friendly hike that's under 5 miles, you can set those filters and be able to find a route that you want to do. So it's got a lot more information. It's a lot more user-friendly. And it makes a big difference, I think, especially when we have, you know, close to 80% of our users using the website and map for information. And then just a couple of things that I wanted to note. Last year, we did complete a couple new trails. So Sidewinder Trail is, and it's actually Sidewinder, and I'm going to correct that. It's actually called Sideshow. So it was marked wrong, and I should have got that. But Sideshow is our purpose-built downhill mountain bike trail that is kind of off to between kind of Corral and 8th Street. And it's an almost 2-mile trail that's just for mountain bikes. So there's different tricks and turns and platforms and things that people can use. And I think that's something we've heard for a long time that people wanted was a downhill mountain bike trail only. And so now they have one. And then also a connection that was identified in our 10-year management plan, the Curlew Connection Trail, that's now almost a 3-mile link between two of our busy trails. And I hear more actually about this connection than almost any other trail. People love this and use it all the time. Just a couple of projects that we're working on in 26, I wanted to highlight. So our Cartwright trailhead improvements. So we manage a trailhead over on Cartwright Road, and it is on BLM property. And we were lucky enough to work with the America's Foundation for Public Lands, which is BLM's kind of 501c3 arm. And between a generous grant that they gave us, as well as some levy funding, we are able to improve that trailhead. It will have a bathroom, which we don't have any restrooms and trailheads over in that area. So it will have a restroom, some safer parking, and some equestrian parking as well. And then, as always, we are constantly looking at expanding our all-weather trails so people can stay off muddy trails in the winter and have trails that they can use year-round. And also, those all-weather trails really provide accessible trails that everyone can use all through the year. So making sure that that material on the trails is more compact and easier for any ability to use. And that is everything. Just any questions and discussion you may have.
Madam Chair, before we move to questions and discussions, I'd like to thank Lisa and her team, David, Gordon, and obviously Chloe Salabanks and Bonnie Shelton from our communications and outreach team for doing this work. What you are seeing is the result of really good planning. People don't get excited about planning efforts because it doesn't mean that something's happening right now. But what a planning effort does is allow us to gather a broad suite of input from the community, put together recommendations, and then tee projects and ideas up for funding opportunities like the what is it, Americans Public Lands?
America Fund for Public Lands.
America Fund for Public Lands. This survey, Lisa mentioned, was really the kind of next step after a 10-year management plan that was created in 2015, I believe.
Mhm.
And COVID saw trail increase go up by almost a third. It was dramatic. It was different. And we were hearing anecdotally through emails, through comments, that people wanted to have a different trail experience. They were asking for things that in this community we had never heard asked for: separation of use, directional trails, downhill trails. And so the survey really provided us with an opportunity to gather that feedback in an organized way to do something with it. When you go out onto the trails now and you see Hawkins Range Reserve has a direction, there might be some more nuanced management of Hulls Gulch, for example. Some days you can do downhill mountain biking, some days you can't. All of that is because our community shifted, their expectations shifted, and we wanted to be responsive to that. So thank you so much for doing this work, for being responsive, for listening, and for keeping it current.
Of course.
Thank you, Director Arkell and Superintendent Duplessis. Do we have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I do. Lisa, I just want to say thanks for presenting that. I took the survey and I just wanted to say that it was not daunting. It was very easy. And I hope that you get more feedback as it goes on, because it was very easy to use. So
Good.
thank you.
Thank
and
you
thanks
for that
presenting
feedback.
it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Director Mazu, I do have a couple of questions, if that's all right,
Of
Superintendent. This is just a question that I have. How is conflict defined? Like, is that defined for them on the survey, or is that something they kind of suss out for themselves in a separate comment?
So, Madam Chair and Commissioners, that's a great question, and actually something we talked about when we went through this. We've never defined what conflict is in these questions, but we actually did talk about in our next year's survey, giving different examples or having people be able to choose what does that conflict look like? Because there's a huge range from a verbal altercation to, somebody dog off leash and running up. So trying to understand what that conflict is for sure.
Thank you. Oh, I had one other question.
Yeah.
Do you have trails that you're currently considering, or you would share that you're considering for all-weather trails?
Madam Chair and Commissioner, that is a great question. We have certain sections, I think, identified. That would be a good David Gordon question. The last one that we had identified was on our Table Rock trail. And we were able to, with the partnership with Idaho Power, really get in there and get some all-weather material down. We definitely have sections that we look at, but there's things that we have to address, whether it's incline and will the material stay on it. So I wouldn't say currently one doesn't pop into my head that we've identified, but we're constantly looking at those areas. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I did that occurred to me. I do appreciate what they did on Table Rock. That especially that steep section, it was always getting beat up a little bit. And related to what was asked previously, I wonder if there's a way to ask the user when it comes to conflict, did you actually get into something verbal, or is it just you saw someone breaking the rules and it really bothered you? I mean, that, it would just be kind of nice to know, and maybe locationally, if that's a possibility in this reserve, or, maybe not down to the trail, that would be really long, but.
Yeah.
just
No,
a-
Madam
just
Chair,
a
I think
thought.
that's a great idea. And definitely, I think location makes a big difference. And I think that will help, to Director Arkell's point, that will give us the information of how we plan to put management strategies in certain areas. So I think that's a great idea. We'll make note of that for sure.
Very good. Great. Well, thank you, Superintendent DeBussy. Next up, we're going to be talking about Boise Parks and Recreation Pickleball Court Management Plan. And before Superintendent Brown comes up, Director. I looked at you and said,
I've just
Doctor.
been promoted.
Director Arkell wanted to say a few words.
That's funny. Yeah, we're all getting used to the feel of Director Arkell. It doesn't sound right to me either yet, but we'll get there. So I had mentioned a little bit about the importance of planning efforts. And I wanted to tee this up for Roseanne a little bit because during my hiring process, the city signed a settlement that required us to close pickleball courts at Manitou Park and Willow Lane Park. And that clearly was a surprise to the community. And we needed to do a better job of communicating transparently what our plans were in order to meet that, meet the demand, and also kind of make the courts equitable, I guess I should say. I heard about it at the open house. I got almost 150 emails. And what I said at the time to folks during that process was, we need a roadmap. We've got a lot of information about pickleball planning spread out in different areas. We need to sit down and take a holistic look at our court inventory so that we can be transparent about what we're planning to do in the future and give folks a good understanding of how we get to, you know, actually putting a court in place. And so I'm really grateful for Roseanne and her team, and then our outreach team, for working really hard to put this this roadmap together. And it is not an end goal; it's just a way for us to chart a path. So we won't be accepting any public comment about this plan today, but I want to ensure folks that starting December 1st, we will have a survey open that will run for a month that will allow us to collect your feedback on what we're hoping to do. And the other piece of that is any management changes within any park will go through a public process. So there'll be a lot of opportunity to comment, a lot of opportunity to engage. What we wanted to provide today is just sort of our thoughts on what the future could look like. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Roseanne Brown. I'm the Recreation Superintendent for the Boise Parks and Recreation Department, and I am happy to be here and to talk about this very important issue. As you know, pickleball has exploded in the last 10 years plus. As you can see, 21% increase. We have a huge community here that participates in pickleball. I've learned from them that these are every aspects of the athlete, whether it be a tennis player, whether it be any type of athletic realm. And this is a really great sport to participate in, not only for the physical aspect, but for the social pieces as well. So we take it very seriously, and we know that our latest decision to convert the pickleball courts back to tennis was a big hit, and we take it very seriously. And we got a lot of feedback. I too got a lot of emails like Director Arkell, and also was able to have some conversations with some folks at at Sarah's interview process, I'll say. All right. What does it mean? Pickleball exploded so fast that it was hard to keep up. It was really, really hard to keep up. And so when we tried to kind of convert some of our current tennis courts to be like a dual use for pickleball as well, that seemed like a really good idea. That was make everybody happy. But what happened is that because the increasing need for the pickleball courts exploded so much, it wasn't working. The dual use was not working. And we had to look at all of these considerations where location planning and funding availability and community engagement. And we did things like converting the Eagle Rock one of the courts to make it be dedicated and the other one be a tennis court. And we really, really tried to, again, make everybody happy, right? But because of the boom, it still wasn't enough. And when we kind of look at what we did in this last decade is in 2013, we did some dual use on 8 courts. Then we added lines at Fort Boise, so we had indoor court opportunity. Then we opened Hobble Creek, which was a 12-court dedicated pickleball complex, which has been used immensely. Like it is a very, very popular location. And then we continued our relationship with the Boise School District and were able to open up 42 bring your own net courts. So in our minds, we're like, okay, we're finding these opportunities for the pickleball users, but it still wasn't enough. And so when we were moving forward, we converted Willow Lane and Manitou in 2018 to dedicated courts. And what I've learned from the pickleball community is that dedicated is the key word. It's not the dual use. And so, so we did that thinking, okay, we're definitely trying to access that possibility for pickleball to really be able to use our resources. And we had some litigation over it. Those 2 properties are very close to houses. I don't think it's any surprise that we've heard that pickleball is loud and it was disruptive to their peace of mind in their house. And I understand that the arguments about, well, they're living by a park and there's going to be noise and all of those sorts of things, but it was a big deal. And we decided to settle, and we went ahead and converted those back to tennis courts. This was a huge shock to the pickleball community. I understand why they were upset. I mean, that's a lot of courts to be taken away. And so by doing that, I think it was a big direction for the department to find how we can accommodate the pickleball users and give them what they deserve, which is dedicated courts, not so much dual use. So we got a lot of that feedback. So we decided to make a 5-year court management plan starting in 2027. And because of public process and funding and all of those sorts of things, it will take time. But we do have some really great recommendations that we would like to offer up today on how we can bridge that gap. All right. We want to increase pickleball opportunities. That is the meat of this whole presentation. But we also have to make sure that it's equitable with our other communities like tennis and how it impacts our surrounding neighbors. We want this all to work. We want everybody to be able to enjoy our resources, and then our homeowners also enjoy their space. So I know you're excited. Ready? Excited? Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and develop a list of recommendations. We're going to identify funding. We're going to try to partner with people to help with that funding so that we provide a really good product. We want to do the survey. It's going to come out December 1st. I'll talk about it a little bit more later. You get a month to fill that out, and it talks about all sorts of things so that we can make sure that we are addressing all the needs of the pickleball community. And then also continue to collaborate with Boise School District. I realize there's restrictions on time because school's in session, but it is an opportunity that is available. All right, here's the meat of it. We have 14 dedicated, and I think it's really, really important for us to hear dedicated and dual use. Very different. So we have 14 dedicated pickleball courts, which is about 16% of our total racket court availability. If you add dual use with the tennis courts, it's about 30%. So if you consider all of that, you see the pie chart, that's kind of where we're at today. And that is with the changes from the litigation. Our goal for 2027, so our short-term goal is to make it to 25% from that 16% goal. Doesn't sound like that's a lot, but in our 5-year plan, the percentage gets higher. So we're trying to make sure that we are identifying the issue and giving the pickleball community something fairly soon, so they're not waiting forever to get opportunities to play this sport. Now, what we want 25%, right? Well, our future final goal would be 40% in 2031. And we have ideas and recommendations to get there, and I'm going to go over those. But we want 40% by 2031 and at least 50% of our total racket courts where you can play pickleball. So as you can see, we're really, really trying to make this equitable, but also not taking away from our tennis community either. How are we going to do it? Well, we want to add 34 dedicated pickleball courts to meet the demand. 34. I think this is very reasonable. I feel like this, from listening to all of the pickleball community, that this would be agreeable to them. I don't think they want to wait 5 years. But knowing that we have a plan and idea of how we can incorporate more courts shows that we are authentic and we want this to work. We want this to be an opportunity for them. We do have to consider some things though. We have to consider noise levels. We have to consider park size and park uses, noise mitigation, residential uses, funding availability. It costs money, money that we currently don't have that we're going to have to identify, but we are dedicated to try to find those resources. And we use NRPA a lot, and we also evaluate current standards and best practices, and that is an ongoing process. All right, pickleballers. Owyhee Park, one of our suggestions, which would put us within our goal in 2027, is to convert Owyhee Park to dedicated pickleball courts. That would give them 12 courts, just like at Hobble Creek, in an area where, Manitou is close to that. That would provide an incredible opportunity because it's so many courts in one location. There can be tournaments, there can be all sorts of things. And from what I've learned from the pickleball community is that the social piece of bringing people together, they come in dozens and dozens of people come at the same time to play the sport, and they need that. So not only having 1 or 2 spaces to play doesn't accommodate that need. Another opportunity is Optimist Youth Sports Complex, and that would create 6 more additional courts for dedicated play. Future opportunities, Alta Harris is already, the master plan has 12 courts already incorporated. Molinar Park, we would do a public process and potentially modify those plan amenities to make 4 dedicated courts. So those are kind of the tangible recommendations that we have after discussing our opportunities and our options. Like I said, Owyhee Park would get us back to that 20% or 26% in our 2027 goal. It would give us 1% more than what we wanted. So that would be a really easy win for us if we can afford it. And then Optimist, that's the current setup, and the recommendation is to make it all dedicated. Alta Harris, just got to happen, right? And Molinar Park.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind going back real quick, Roseanne. Thank you. So Alta Harris Park, this was another area where I received a lot of feedback. The original master plan had the courts located in a different part of the park. Given the feedback we received through the settlement and our attempt to evolve our understanding of how pickleball can be a good neighbor, we are proposing to move those courts to a different part of the park so they're farther away from homes. When this master plan was done, those homes didn't exist. So we are doing our best to kind of not only evolve our thinking about the playing of the sport and how it impacts community, but also evolving our thinking to take into account the changing in our, residential use in our community. So I just wanted to point that out because this is the revised master plan. We will not be necessarily going through a public hearing to change the location of the courts because we're not changing any sort of amenity or use within the park. We're just able to be more thoughtful about where we locate this large pickleball complex to make sure that it doesn't cause us challenges down the road with surrounding uses and surrounding communities. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Eckel. And then I was saying, the Molinar Park, we would make dedicated space. Okay, so where we're currently at and where we want to be at, I feel like this is something that is absolutely attainable. One thing I did want to make note of is it says lose 5 existing tennis courts. That actually, it would not be the case because of the 2 locations that we currently close. So we kind of would we'd be whole. So anyways, we're super excited to get started on working on this, and we're super excited to get some feedback. So again, December 1st through the 31st, we put together a survey. It's going to talk about what type of competitive level you play in pickleball, how many people are coming together to play, where do you play, times of the day that you play, to really help us understand what the needs are. We've gotten it from the emails and the communication, but this is a way that we can really like zone in on what the community wants and needs. And anything that needs a change or an addition, it's gonna go through the public process, and that's gonna take time. It's just going to take time. We are going to talk to the neighbors. We are going to review funding. We are going to do all of those sorts of things. So the survey is going to help direct that, just like in the previous presentation, how they utilize the survey results. And next steps, like I said, we're going to check it out. We're going to work really hard to make this 5-year plan a reality and continue to communicate with the pickleball community to provide what they need, because I don't know if you guys have heard, pickleball, it's a thing. It's a thing, and and I have played it, and I'm not very good, but I think that I could get better if I try. Madam Chair, Commissioner, thank you for that compliment that I would get better just because I'm tall. Okay, so anyways, any questions about our plan?
Madam Chairman and Director Arkell.
Councilwoman Willetts,
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Talking.
go ahead.
Thank you for that thorough presentation. One question and then a suggestion. What is the average cost of a new pickleball court?
Madam Chair, I'll have Director Arkell answer that question.
Thank you, Roseanne. Councilmember Willetts, thank you for the question. So I'm accessing my files in my brain. Apologies for the delay here. The 12-court pickleball complex in Alta Harris Park is the most recent complete development, like from, absolutely nothing bare ground to a pickleball court. And that's 12 courts, and I believe the estimate was $1.2 million. Obviously, if we're converting courts from tennis to pickleball, it's much, much cheaper because you don't have to lay all of the foundations or do the fencing or do the grading or anything like that. So we're getting estimates now because we are also in the process of planning our 2027 budget request now for the Oahe Court conversion. And I'll take just a moment to specify what we mean by public process. So any courts that would be converted from tennis and to dedicated pickleball would change an amenity, which then triggers our need to go through a public process that includes public testimony to amend the master plan. So the Oahe Court conversion would include a public hearing so that we could gather feedback. So our goal at this time is to estimate. I think the conversions at Willow and Manitou from pickleball back to tennis were less than 100,000 each. So we're hopeful that we will be able to, be somewhere between the $150,000 and $200,000 range for estimate for conversion of the Oahe courts from tennis to pickleball. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question, Councilmember.
Yeah, thank you so much. And well done, Google. I mean, that's pretty impressive that you just were able to pull that out of your expertise. Secondarily, I do have a suggestion. I heard Boise School District mentioned. I did not hear West Ada School District mentioned, and surely would like them to be included as part of this. We do have some tennis courts here. They are not operated by the city, but certainly would like as many partners as possible in this at work. So look forward to hearing back what they say.
Thank you, Councilmember. That's a wonderful suggestion. We will follow up.
Thank you. Other comments?
Yes, thank you, Superintendent. I had the same question as Councilmember Willetts, but I do have another question. How is the number of 34 courts by 2031 reached? Is there research or reports done on the increase in popularity of pickleball between now and 2031 that justified that number?
So we basically have historical data from NRPA, a National Recreation and Parks Association, as well as pickleball associations that measure use. I don't believe we know of any data that's forecasting projected use, but just looking at the trends in the last 5 years, we can expect that it will continue to grow faster than we expect.
Okay.
So I think what we're trying to provide is a reasonable and possible plan so that we can all have shared expectations about the next 5 years. Those 34 courts are a combination of not only what's in our existing master plans, but also what we feel would be possible to consider with the community based on the siting criteria that we need to use to find appropriate places to convert.
Thank you, Director.
And the understanding that we're probably not going to have multiple millions of dollars
Yeah.
available to us in the next 5 to 10 years.
Has there already been a survey done on the increase, and that's like a measurable amount on a steady year basis?
Thank you for asking that, Commission Member. No.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason I'm so excited about having this opportunity to provide an online survey, because we haven't done a great job of collecting feedback from the community in a way that allows us to learn and grow. And so this will be, much like Ridge to Rivers, we've had a shift in our users. And so we need to learn more. And we can learn more by creating these opportunities for us to gather organized feedback.
Okay. Thank you, Superintendent and Director and Councilmember Willetts.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Well, it's more comments. Number one, I want to say I've been on this commission for a while, and I know this has been a frustrating journey for the pickleball community. I was able to go to the public meeting that we had at Eagle Rock before we had our Eagle Rock public hearing here. And then I was invited to go speak to pickleball or watch pickleballers, visit with pickleballers at Manitou. And I know, as Roseanne stated, the court closures has been a real blow. A real blow. And I do want to compliment the department on negotiations efforts towards keeping those open, because I do know there were a lot of efforts to try to keep those courts open. I so appreciate that you're looking at dedicated youth, because that is so important for this. And it is so difficult, I can say, in these positions where we have multiple stakeholder needs to balance, to know which direction to go. Limited budgets, multiple stakeholder needs. So I do appreciate that you guys are taking those multiple stakeholder needs into account, and that we're looking at getting more input from the public through this survey, because I think that will be really insightful. I wish for the pickleball community that we had 34 courts before, it gets warm again. But I'm glad to see we have a plan going forward that's keeping the pickleball community in mind. And I just want to thank you for your work on this, Superintendent Brown.
Thank you.
And Director Earl.
I have one quick question. Was there an attempt to limit some of the courts that were causing noise issues, limit them to quieter paddles and quieter balls?
Commission Member Raber, I believe we worked over the course of 4 years to institute different types of management strategies to mitigate the issues associated with the litigation. And unfortunately, none of those strategies worked. We locked the courts. We put in sound dampening panels. We identified hours of play. We just really couldn't get our arms around managing the use. So while, you know, the community sees a settlement being made and a sudden change in direction for these courts, we had tried really hard to work with the neighbors to come and the pickleball community to come to some sort of middle ground. And it wasn't successful. I think you have anything to add.
Is that it, commissioners?
And if I may, I don't know if I'm out of line on this, but thank you for coming, the people that are here. Could I get a show of hands? Is everyone in support of pickleball that's here? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
We
thank-
look forward to having you take the survey. And please share. I mean, that's a good point, Commissioner Raber. All of this information, the presentation that you heard today, the plan that we're talking about is all posted on our website. Our intent is to be completely, fully transparent so we can gather as much good information as we can about our users, their desires, their habits. So please share that information with who you play with, so that they can participate in this feedback opportunity as well.
So thank you, Superintendent Brown, for all your hard work, all the hard work of your staff, and thank you, everybody who loves pickleball, for your patience.
Thank you.
No. Nice. Okay, I think we're through the agenda then. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Hey.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.